Okay, give me 1 second here. I want to make my face a little bigger for your viewing pleasure. All right, so welcome. This is lesson one in the Imminent Fluency, the Spanish edition series. Um, I've enlarged the screen so you can't see all of the words here, but I'll give it a quick I'll give you a quick view here. It goes to 17. And so these are the words that we're going to cover on this lesson. These are the expressions. And this lesson, you're not really getting long sentences because these are basically the greetings. So yeah, if you already know all this stuff, which you might know most, yeah, just wait for lesson two. And again, the goal here is for you to not just like, yeah, I'm like, if you're familiar with these, that's great. But do you know them? Can you pull them like from your head when you need them? And do you know the response? And can you catch them when you hear them? And can you say them fairly decently? Like that's the goal of today's lesson, is to make you a better speaker, a better hearer. That's a good word. And so conversational when it regards to this list of expressions. All right, so let's get started. And so yeah, you'll see how the format is. I won't explain it. Okay, so this is just the list. We're going to cover hello, hola, good morning, buenos dias. Don't worry, you're going to get a chance to shadow and all that stuff soon after this. Let me just run down the list here. Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Good evening and good night in Spanish are the same. Buenas noches, goodbye, adios, bye, ciao, see you later, hasta luego. These first seven is just parrot Spanish. Like when you hear hola, you just say hola. When you hear buenos dias, you just say buenos dias. When you hear ciao, you say ciao. You're just mimicking, you're just parroting what somebody says, and it's perfectly great response. It's the most common and it's a good response. Later, as you start to like use these expressions more, or then you can initiate. You don't have to wait till like somebody says hola to you for you to know that you need to say hola back. You will just say hola, or you will say ciao, or you will say hasta luego. Okay, and so the first seven for us, you're just going to parrot. The appropriate response is to parrot what you hear. Then 8 and 9 are like essential vocabulary in any language. Yes and no. Sí, no. Okay, don't worry. The pronunciation practice is coming after this. The next ones are the how are yous. I put two versions on here, mainly because I want you to have two different responses, and you might hear the second version, although the second version is not as common. The first version, which I give you in the colloquial, informal, and then the more polite version, because Spanish is still very traditional and still has a polite version and an informal version, is how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Notice the estás has an S at the end, because that corresponds to the tú, which is the informal you in Spanish. And como está doesn't have an S at the end because that corresponds to the usted, which is the formal you in Spanish, the polite you in Spanish. But you might also ask, like, are you okay? Or are you well? Are you good? Which is estás bien. Bien is good. Estás bien. So we just reverse the order. We put the estás first, but informally, right? So estás bien. And then, or está bien. Are you okay? Polite version. The cómo estás, cómo está, the most common response and just typical response is like bien, gracias, or muy bien, gracias. So fine, thank you, or very well, thank you, which is 14 and 15, right? I didn't put just bien, but obviously you can just say bien. You can say just bien, which is well or fine or good, and then gracias. And then to follow up on that, you might also ask in return, as we all do in English, and you, right? Informally, y tú. Like I said, the tú is the informal you, and the usted is the formal you, and that would be y usted. Okay, that's the list. That's what we want to become conversational in. That's what I want you, hopefully today, to be able to speak very well, like 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 you'd be. People will understand you Like, and you wouldn't be like butchering the language, and you wouldn't be saying like hola or muy bien, gracias. I don't know how you guys talk, but anyway, I'm assuming the worst. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the next stage. The next stage I call the slow-mo stage, which is like probably we're gonna spend the most time here, but there's other stages, and but because you're beginning Spanish speakers, this is the important part. Okay, and so in this stage, I've broken down the words into syllables for you. I just feel like it's easier to read when it's a foreign language, to have the syllables separated for you. So any kind of clarity, whether it's just like visual clarity or just like you can see things distinctly, is going to help you. Okay, I'll try to keep my English to a minimum. We're going to just practice a lot of Spanish pronunciation on this page, on this section. But I am going to throw in some hints and tidbits or whatever, and anything to help you like with your pronunciation. Okay. Hello. Hola. Hola. O. La. O. La. Spanish vowels are crisp and short. I say this in another video, but if you're sitting down, for example, and you're practicing, and you can feel it like in your diaphragm or in your stomach here, let's say, like if you say to somebody like like hey, like really like forceful, hey, you can feel your stomach tightening. You kind of want a little bit of that when you practice, not necessarily when you later become more conversational, more fluent, but when you practice your Spanish vowels, you want that a, e, I, o, u, and so you'll cut off your breath. You won't be like or a, right? It'll be ah with your stomach tightening, and just in the same like the same thing that's happening when you're saying hey, like you feel that force and you feel yourself, you're cutting off your breath. That's what you want for the Spanish vowels when you practice them. Okay, now it's hard to do like in consecutive syllables, but as you do the individual ones later, you'll be able to make those same crisp sounds just with your mouth and not so much with your stomach, because then it's hard to do because it requires a strong, breath and tension that you can't really repeat. Okay, so like back to back. So hola, o la, o la, o la, hola. Good morning. Buenos, 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 buenos. Días, 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 días. Buenos días, buenos días, buenos días. Good afternoon. Buenas with an A now, because the tardes is a masculine, sorry, if a feminine noun, and días was a masculine or is a masculine noun, so that's why it's a OS ending. Buenas, bue, bue. The UE is a diphthong. It's one syllable. It's not two. It's not bue. It's bue. Think of it like BWE, bue. Bue, bue. Nas, nas. Buenas, buenas. Tardes, tar. A little bit of a trilling, not too hard. Tar. And don't worry if you can't do it. In time, it'll come just like when we learn how to whistle, like out of nowhere, we do it after like we do something and suddenly we're whistling. Well, you practice Spanish enough, out of nowhere, sometimes you'll just one day, I think most of you will trill your R's. Tar, tar, des, des, tar, des, tar, des. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Okay. Good evening and good night. We use the same word to say good evening and to say good night. Like I'm going to bed or I'm leaving. I'm taking off. It's late. I'm going home, whatever. So it's the same. And good evening is a greeting. Like you come in and it's late and you're like, good evening, everybody. Like not to say goodbye, but to say hello even, right? Okay. So again, buenas, 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 no, ches, no, ches, buenas noches, buenas noches, buenas noches, buenas noches. Okay, goodbye. Adios. Adios is like, actually, it comes from like the expression that used to mean, I commend you to God. And then it just ended up being to God, which is ah. Ah is like to, and Dios is God. So goodbye is adios, like kind of like go with God. Okay. Adios. Ah. Again. Ah. 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 Dios. Dios. Ah. Dios. Again, you could kind of think of it as Dios, Dios, like a, yeah, like a, um, yeah, anyway. So it's just like, has a little Y sound in there because the I is going to force that sound. So you don't really have to force it. A Dios, 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 a Dios, adiós, adiós, adiós. Okay. Informal, bye bye, not bye bye. I have to fight a sneeze off. Is we in a lot of South American countries, obviously Italy, they say ciao. We spell it differently. Some people spell it CHAU or CHAO. I've always spelled it the Italian way, CIAO, but it's still the same word and it's still the same sound. Ciao. Ciao. Like time to eat. It's chow time. Almost exactly like that. Ciao. 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 It's definitely AU. It's not an OW. It's a slight difference. Here's the English CHOW. Ciao. Ciao time. And here's the Spanish. Ciao. Maybe there's no difference, but anyway. So if there's no difference, like you're gonna be fine. If you're saying ciao like the English version, you're probably fine. Anyway. Ciao. 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 Okay. And then see you later, which hasta means until, and luego means like later. So until later. See you later. Hasta, we don't pronounce the H in Spanish. Hasta, as, ta, as, ta, hasta, hasta luego, luego, lue, lue. Again, you can think of it as LWE, lue. I don't know if that helps you or not, but anyway, lue. Just do what I'm doing. Lue, go, not go, not GOW or just the GO in English. It's not that go. It's go, go. The go is longer, go, but go, right? Okay, I'm kind of trying to mimic what the sound that's coming out of my mouth is doing. Luego, luego, Go. Luego. Hasta 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 luego. Okay, I'm going to run down the list one more time and then mimic shadow one more time and then we'll go to the next ones. Hola. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Adiós. Chao. Hasta luego. Okay. 8 and 9 are the essential yes and no. Sí. Sí. Almost like the letter C in English. You're saying, oh, that's a C. That's a C. C. The emphasis is a little different, but okay. If you say C in English, everybody's understanding you, and it's pretty good. Sí. Sí. No. It's not no. It's not no. Oh. It's no. Cut it off. Cut the breath off. No. Once you articulate the sound that it's an O, once I know it's an O, cut it off. No. 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 Again, if you force it here, because it's a one syllable, these are the perfect ones to practice. It's like no. Like Fido. No. 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 That's the mechanics, right? No. Okay. I feel like we don't need to overdo the C and no. The last, well, not the last ones. The next four are your how are you? Are you good? Like, are you fine? Are you okay? Okay. ¿Cómo? That's the how. ¿Cómo? Co. Co. Mo. Co. Mo. Don't say co. Don't say mo. Co. Mo. Co. Mo. ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo estás? Es. 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 Tas. Tas. It's very helpful when you're learning a foreign language to mimic the facial expressions if you can, to the best you can. I know you can't see what I'm doing with my tongue, and you can't see what forces are going on inside my mouth or throat or like stomach to make, but like if I make an E and my lips go to widen, then you should be trying to do that. If I make an A and my jaw drops, you should be doing that. I can make those same sounds without those same mechanics, facial mechanics, let's say, but it'd be very hard for you to do so. Only after you practice the language and your face and your facial muscles or your facial mechanics uh like develop, then you can make those sounds without making like the same facial mechanics that I'm showing you. Right? Just like a ventriloquist. Like if you're a ventriloquist in your language, you know, you can talk like this and you can say a bunch of things and you can be understood and okay, I'm not a ventriloquist obviously, but you can't do that as a foreign speaker because you can't make those, your muscles are not going to work that way. So you get the point. Mimic the facial expressions and mimic the shape of my mouth when I'm making the kind of vowel sounds. I'm trying to be conscious about it, but sometimes I just speak like I normally speak and I don't make like I would say like the facial expressions that I would recommend you to make. Anyway, one more time, number 10. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo? One more time. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? And then the other one is just easy. We just chop off the S. ¿Cómo está? Polite version. ¿Cómo está? How are you? How are you, sir? ¿Cómo está? Or to a stranger, ¿cómo está? Or to a teacher, ¿cómo está? Okay. 12, ¿estás bien? Estás. Oh, I didn't hyphenate the estás here. Bloop. ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? Estás. Estás. Estás bien. 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 ¿Estás bien? With a little intonation, a little rise in the intonation for the questions, like it's almost universal. ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? And then again, the polite version, we're just chopping off the S from the estás. ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? Okay. And for the for 10 and 11, for the question, ¿Cómo estás? Or ¿Cómo está? You can say 14 and 15 together. Muy, muy bien. Muy, 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 muy bien. Muy bien. Muy bien. Muy bien. Thank you is gracias. Gra, 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 gra. A little tricky to say, I think. Gracias. Cias. Gracias. 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 Okay. So if somebody asks you, ¿Cómo estás? You can just say, muy bien, gracias. Okay. And now for a response for 12 and 13, sorry, for a response for 12 and 13, it's a yes or no question. ¿Estás bien? So we just say yes, thank you. Sí, gracias. So for 12 and 13, somebody says, ¿Estás bien? Sí, gracias. Okay. 10 and 11 is an information question. They're asking you how. 12 and 13 is just a yes or no question. Okay, I'm not going to teach you no and blah, 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 because we don't want to hear all that. We just say, just like in English, it's just a greeting. Okay. ¿Estás bien? Sí, gracias. Okay, and then you can follow that up with a and you. And again, depending on how they asked you, usually that's going to set the tone for the politeness level. But you'll know what terms you're on, if you're on a familiar term or a more like formal term. And you, y, tú, Spanish, y is and. Tú is the informal you, the way you talk to your friends, to your family, usually, unless they're like your older, like your grandmother. You would probably say usted to your grandmother, even though she's family. Y tú, y, like double E's, like in see, like when we see something in English, when we say see, I see E, that E, E, y tú. So the Spanish Y is an E, and the Spanish letter I is also an E. Okay. Y tú, Y tú, tú, tú. My tongue is pressing against the back of my front teeth. And almost like tui, like when you say tui, like when you're gonna spit, like tui, not hak tui. Save that for another day. But tui, like I eat tu, basically that same pressure. You're pressing on your front lips, I mean the back of your front teeth, and then you're letting the air through. Tu, right? Eat tu, but harder, because it's you have to make a kind of a T sound, not a D sound. Eat tu, and then more polite, y usted, us, like OOS, usted. It's not Ted. It's not TED. There's not a TED talk. Usted, usted, right? Remember, not remember, but Spanish T's and Spanish D's are non-aspirated. Non-aspirated. That means we don't have a puff of air coming out. Let me show you, let me give you an example here. Let me reach over. I'll do it with this. Okay. I'm going to say David in English, and you could just Dave. Oh, sorry, that's not going to work. Door. Why am I not? What am I doing? Um, let's do the T's. Tom, 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 Tom. But now let's do the T for usted. Ted, Ted, Ted. Like I'm really loud here. I'm forceful, but you see no puff of air, right? Ted, because it's non-aspirated, right? Spanish T's are non-aspirated. You shouldn't have a puff of air coming out of your mouth. If you like tear a strip of paper so it's a little bit lighter and you practice that way, you'll know when you're doing it right. You'll know because the paper won't move, right? But if you're moving it because you're still using the American, or not the American, but the English way of saying the T's, with T's, you can feel the breath, the T's, right? But we don't aspirate our T's in Spanish. Te, te, te. Okay. So that's it. This is the slow version, the slow-mo version. Now we're going to go to the next version. And by the way, I put it up here up top because I'm not doing any editing. So I'm not going to edit. So then shows you what I might do is timestamp if I can figure it out, but maybe not. But anyway, what I want you to see is like, oh, if you scroll, you'll be able to see the super slow in red. And then you're like, oh, this is the section I want. But if I can do timestamp, like I might, but I'm really like, yeah, I'm really bad at technology stuff. Moderate speed. Now I'm going to say the word and you just say the response. So it's basically shadowing, but we're now having like a beginning in conversation. We're greeting each other. Hola. Hola. I'll do it 3 times. Hola. Good morning. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Chao. 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 Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Sí, sí, sí. No, no, no. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Gracias, gracias, gracias. ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? Okay, this this is the this section was the pronunciation section, the practice section, and a little bit of listening to the Spanish in a little bit of a slow form. Next, we're going to go to the more or less native speed. This is more for listening practice. I'm going to try to give you time to shadow, and so more shadowing, more practice. But this part is listening practice. When you come back to these videos, this section and the next section are the ones you should come back to. You should skip all the first section, so it's going to save you time when you review and you want to develop. And if you want to practice your pronunciation, you know where to go. Slow-mo section. When you want to practice your listening, you know where to go. This native section, and there's another section after this that's even a little bit faster than native to kind of just help you train your ears. Okay, here we go. Hola, hola, hola. Buenos días, buenos días, buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas tardes, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenas noches, buenas noches. Adiós, adiós, adiós. Chao, 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 chao. Okay, we don't really say that too often. It's kind of kiddyish. Kiddyish. Sí, sí, sí. No, 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 no. ¿Cómo estás? Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Ay, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás bien? ¿Está bien? For 13 now. Just now switching over to 13. ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? 10, 11, 12, 13. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Estás bien? ¿Está bien? 14 and 15. Muy bien. Muy bien. Mm, muy bien. Gracias. 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 Muy bien, gracias. Muy bien, gracias. Ah, bien, gracias. Bien, gracias. Muy bien, gracias. You might hear muchas gracias, which is like lots of thank you very much. With the muchas is okay. Muchas gracias. All right. Okay. ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? Okay, that's more or less native speed. I try to put a little bit of like, yeah, uh, inflection and just the casualness of like it's a little bit harder when you're reading a script, but like I'm trying to say it like I'm having a conversation. Okay, now we're going to for your ear training, not necessarily for your don't shadow this. Like you can't, I don't know what benefit it would be to shadow it. It's mostly for your ear training. Ludicrous speed. If you watch Spaceballs, you know ludicrous speed. Okay, here we go. Again, this is not native speed. This is faster than native speed. Nobody's really going to talk to you this, but Americans sometimes talk like really fast like this, and like this would be ludicrous speed in English. And if you can understand what I'm saying, you're probably a native speaker. But if you're not a native speaker, you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and you're like, this guy's just saying nonsense. But I'm not. I'm clearly speaking English. I'm clearly enunciating my words, and people who speak English understand everything I'm saying. Spanish, I'm going to kind of do this for Spanish. Don't expect people to talk at the speed, but if you can catch this, if your ears are trained to catch and to discriminate these sounds, then obviously when the native speakers speak in their speed, you'll be better equipped to catch what they're saying. Hola, 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 hola. Good morning. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Hola, buenas tardes. Hola, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenos días. Hola. Hola. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Good evening. Good night. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Oye, buenas noches. Oye, buenas noches. Oye is like, hey. Oye, buenas noches. Buenas noches. Buenas tardes. Buenos días. Hola. Goodbye. Adiós. 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 Hola. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Hola. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Adiós. Hola. Chao. 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 Hola. Hola. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Chao. 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 Hasta luego. Oye, hasta luego. Chao. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. I'm getting tongue tied. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Chao. Adiós. Yeah. Because I don't speak Spanish a lot. Like I have to go sometimes to the mechanics of making certain syllables, putting certain syllables together. My pronunciation is pretty good. If you're a native speaker, you know I'm not a native speaker anymore. I used to be, but like just to reassure my non-native speakers, my pronunciation is pretty damn good. And like, yeah, like you're not. I don't think you're losing anything by trying to mimic the way I speak. If you could speak the way I speak, like I said in another video, you'd be content. Like you would be like your Spanish would be not amazing, but like, well, maybe I'm kind of amazing. Anyway, hasta luego, hasta luego, hasta luego. Sí, no, sí, no, sí, no. Adiós. Hola, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Hasta luego. Chao, adiós. Buenas tardes. Hola. Sí, no. Sí, no. Hola. Okay, next. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'm not going to tell you which one I'm going to say, 10, 11, or 12, or 13. See if you can hear which one I'm saying. And I'll say afterwards. I'll just say hola and then I'll ask. Hola, ¿estás bien? 12. Hola, ¿cómo está? 11. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. Hola, ¿está bien? 13. Hola, ¿cómo está? 11. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. Hola, ¿estás bien? 12. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. Hola, ¿cómo está? 11. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. ¿Estás bien? 12. ¿Está bien? 13. ¿Estás bien? 12. ¿Está bien? 13. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. Next. Muy bien. Muy bien. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Estás bien? Sí. ¿Estás bien? Sí. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, gracias. Hola, ¿cómo estás? 10. Muy bien. Muy bien. Muy bien. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien. Bien. Somebody just says bien. Bien. Good. Good. All good, right? Todo bien? All good? Yeah. Okay, we're not going to go into new grammar or new vocab. Okay, so muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Okay. ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? Okay, that's ludicrous speed Spanish. I can't really do super ludicrous speed because I'm not, when you're not native, it's hard to like make those syllables back to back to back to back in that speed. So to me, it's still a little bit mechanical when I try to go super fast. Now, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Está bien? ¿Estás bien? Muy bien. Gracias. ¿Y tú? ¿Y usted? That's native speed. I can do that. But when I go super fast, like I do in English, that I have a hard time doing still. But okay, but you get the gist. Not the gist. This is still faster than native speed. And if you listen to this over and over again, just go back and when you go back and review for your listening, go to this section, find the ludicrous speed part, and listen to that, and then get your ears used to that. And then when you go to this section, you'll be like, oh, seems kind of slower to me now. I'm catching it. I'm discriminating the sounds. Okay, so ludicrous speed, spend some time training your ears, but to speak properly, practice your speaking properly at the native speed. Like this is what you're going to hear. Ludicrous speed might be a little just different than what you're going to hear. And then for pronunciation practice, especially as a beginner, come back to the super slow-mo and practice your syllables, right? Okay, now the last section. The last section is, what am I saying? What's your response? And vice versa. So for the first 7, I'm just gonna say it and you're gonna respond. So you're just gonna parrot me. Hola. Buenos días. Oh, sorry. I messed that up. I'm gonna say something in Spanish, and you figure out if you know the meaning. Okay, first figure out if you know the meaning. Or actually, we're doing what we're doing. I'm gonna say something, you repeat it because we're doing the first 7 first, and then see if you recognize the meaning and how quickly you recognize the meaning. Do you have to like think back about it, or do you like instantly know? Oh, he's saying good morning to me, or he's saying goodbye to me. Okay, so I'm gonna go random order 1 through 7, but not eight down yet. Okay, so buenas tardes. Ciao. Maybe I won't wave. Hola. Buenas noches. Hasta luego. Adiós. Buenas tardes. Hola. Buenas noches. Adiós. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Ciao. Okay, how did you do? How did you, like, are you catching? Are you know instantly what I'm saying to you when I say buenas tardes, buenas noches, ciao, adiós, hasta luego? This is what we want to get to. We want to get to where it's just instant, right? Like, not just you know to parrot, like that's great, you parrot, but like, you know the meaning right away? Okay. All right, now we're gonna go to the next ones. I'm gonna say something in Spanish. If I ask you how are you, muy bien, gracias is the response. If I ask you, are you good? Are you okay? Sí, gracias is the response. You can also say muchas gracias. I haven't thrown in the muchas for this, but it's very common. So I feel like if you're comfortable throwing in the muchas gracias, you can say that. But gracias is fine. Okay. ¿Estás bien? You should have said sí, gracias. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Está bien? Sí, gracias. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien, gracias. Okay, now I'm going to pretend you asked me how I was, and I'm going to say, muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Your response is, muy bien, gracias. Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Now, if you ask me, are you good? ¿Estás bien? I say, sí, gracias. And then I say, ¿y tú? We usually just say, me too, but we haven't learned the me too. But you just say, bien, gracias also. You don't have to say, sí, gracias. That's weird. Just say, bien, gracias. So you can treat the y tú as a ¿cómo estás question, not as a, not like estás bien. Don't worry about that part. So if you ask me, ¿estás bien? I say, sí, gracias. ¿Y tú? Your response will be, muy bien, gracias. Okay. Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Muy bien, gracias. Sí, gracias. ¿Y tú? Muy bien, gracias. Okay. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias. Buenos días. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien, gracias. Hola, ¿estás bien? Sí, gracias. Buenas noches. Okay, now I don't want the response. I'm not giving you a response. Just see if you know the English. And I recommend that you do this aloud, that you talk back to your computer if you can, or if you're in a place where you feel comfortable doing that, just to make the sound connection, any kind of like, just to make the sound connection with the Spanish. I say the Spanish, you say the English. You rattle off what the English is. Okay, I'm gonna shrink this so you can see all of the choices, but I feel like you won't need it. Okay, there are all the choices. Okay, there's the hello. Okay, So I'm going to say Spanish and you tell me what I just said in English. If I say the polite version, you just say, how are you? Either one. Or are you okay? Okay. Or if I say buenas noches, you can just say good evening or good night. Either one. Okay, here we go. Let's start off with the difficult one. No. Buenos días. Good morning. ¿Y tú? And you. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? ¿Estás bien? Are you okay? Ciao. Bye. Buenos días. Good morning. ¿Todo bien? Sorry. ¿Estás bien? Are you okay? Sí, gracias. Yes, thank you. Sí, muchas gracias. Yes, thank you very much. Muy bien, gracias. Very well, thank you. ¿Y tú? And you? Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Hasta luego. See you later. Hola. Hello. Ciao. Bye. ¿Está bien? Are you okay? ¿Cómo está? How are you? ¿Y tú? And you? No. No. Sí. Yes. ¿Y usted? And you? Buenas noches. Good night or goodbye. Or good evening, I should say. Okay. That's it. That's it for this lesson. It has various purposes and hopefully uses for you. And we're going back to the beginning. And so this is now, this first lesson has 17 words. The future lessons will not have more than 15. Usually somewhere between 10 and 13 words is the norm. Just because I'm intending for you to put this in your long-term memory. I'm intending for you to memorize most of it and for it to be available to you so you're fluent in it, right? So you can hear, and when I say when I say buenas tardes, when I say cómo estás, you're catching it and you're understanding me, and you have your response at the ready, like you know what to say next. That's fluency. Then you can, the more you add to this vocabulary list or these expressions that you have at your disposal, and that you can hear, most importantly, that you can hear, and then you can speak, and then you speak at a fairly decent level of pronunciation. You're not too embarrassed because you're not saying like gracias, hola, like, okay, like I wouldn't want to talk like that either. But so then you'll be more comfortable speaking, and when you're more comfortable, you'll do it more. Okay, all right, that's it. If this now, I know that at some parts I didn't give you enough time to shadow. Okay, I'm gonna try to improve on that on the second lesson. But if there's any other, like I haven't made the second lesson, by the way. So if there's any other, but I know what's the list. If there's any other tips or any other recommendations you have, put it in the comments. If you want a PDF file of the whole list, just let me know and I'll send you my email. If you look under the earliest comment, my reply there has my email. It's philosophy mocks me, all together, philosophy mocks me @gmail.com. Just ask for a PDF. Put something in the subject title that I know it's you, otherwise I'll think it's spam and delete. Or it might go to my spam file, and then if there's nothing that tells me it's not spam, I'll delete it. Right, okay. Or if you're my ex-wife, I'll delete it. All right, thanks guys. I'm gonna stop sharing and I have to click one more thing. Okay, hasta luego.